she looked her husband dead in the eye and made a solemn pinky promise that she was not the villain. Welcome back to the Jerk Verdict. Today on r/Am I the Asshole? A simple party game of mafia destroys a marriage because one person was way too good at lying. Let us get the full story. This story comes from r/Am I the Asshole, posted by you/Modern Shepherd. Before we get into it, drop your verdict in the comments. Who is the real jerk here? Pause the video, comment right now, and let us see if you agree with Reddit. My husband, male 27, and I, female 26, had a bunch of friends over last night to play trivia and some games. She says truthfully, I get pretty intensely into games and am a very social, loud person. Oh, absolutely. We all know that one person who treats a casual Saturday night board game like it is Game 7 of the Pro Basketball Finals. But honestly, that is what makes game nights actually fun. My husband knows this about me, and also gets pretty into games when he's good at them. Sometimes he's not great at them. Over time, we have realized that Mafia is a game he loves. Wait, what? So he is perfectly happy to get intensely competitive when he is winning, but the second he is playing a game he is bad at, suddenly it is a problem? That is some massive double standard energy right there. He is not very good at it because he is used to having his heart on his sleeve and kind of being super honest and open about everything. Honestly, this is heartbreaking. You have to feel for a guy who just wants to participate in a deceptive game but is simply too pure of heart to pull it off. Being too honest is a rare flaw, but in Mafia, it is a death sentence. I'm really good at it because I grew up in a super strict family and am used to lying my way through things. Oh please, turning a traumatic childhood defense mechanism into a competitive advantage for a party game is both incredibly sad and insanely brilliant. She is basically a trained operative playing against amateurs. During the game, he started suspecting me early on, so I called him out, looked him in the eye, and said, "Dude, I am not the Mafia." The audacity. He is literally losing the game normally, so he decides to break the fourth wall. You do not bring a real-world relationship into a game of deception. He is basically trapping her. He stood up and asked me to pinky promise that I was not. I would not have chosen to pinky promise him, but since he initiated in front of the group, I had no choice. I am sorry, but what? Forcing your wife to make a sacred pinky promise in front of all your friends? That is metagaming at its absolute worst. Is that even fair? Someone tell me in the comments, because I think that is completely out of line. Meaning, if I rejected, they would know I was the Mafia, so I pinky promised, and then I eliminated him in the next round, and honestly, it felt pretty justified. Wow, how noble! She absolutely ruthlessly eliminated her own husband right after a sacred oath. I mean, you have to respect the cold-blooded commitment to the bit, but sleeping in the same bed that night must have been freezing cold. She noted in an edit that she ended up advancing, going head-to-head with the last non-Mafia player, and she completely won the entire game. Unbelievable. She rode that pinky promise betrayal all the way to the championship. She did not just break his heart, she took the trophy home to prove it. But this is where the story takes a massive turn. It turns out he was the nurse and had saved me that round because he trusted me. I get that it hurts, but it is just a game. Poor soul. He used his one special ability to protect his wife, believing in the sanctity of the pinky promise, only to be stabbed in the back immediately. You can almost hear his heart shattering into a million tiny pieces. He woke up the next day and told me that if I am able to use our trust to win a game, what is stopping me from using it to manipulate him further? Are you kidding me? He cannot separate a literal game of deception from reality? She was assigned the role of a liar, What was she supposed to do? Forfeit the game just to protect his fragile ego? She genuinely wanted to know, am I the asshole and I'm just not seeing it? Because to her, she just played the game they all agreed to play. This is absolutely insane. He forced her into an impossible situation, lost the game, and then woke up the next day to psychoanalyze her moral character over a board game. Wait until you hear what the community had to say about this manipulation. The community comments on this one were absolutely brutal, and they did not hold back on the husband. Let us look at the top comment from u/skibblebob37, who completely defended the wife here. They said, "Who uses pinky promises in games like that? He took it too far out into the real world, and that is not your fault. You just wanted to play the game." The commenter then added a hilarious comparison, stating his next complaint will be her using a fake field goal on 4th and short and converting in a game of Madden football. That analogy is spot on. If you are playing a game where the entire core mechanic is lying and hiding your identity, you cannot get mad when someone successfully lies to you. He weaponized a real-life marriage to try and win a party game. Another user, u/Maddie completely agreed, stating that he needs to stop trying to ruin the game by making her pinky promise. If you allow outside promises, the game of Mafia completely breaks down. They pointed out that if you can just pinky promise your way to the truth, you could just go around the circle forcing everyone to swear on their lives. It completely defeats the purpose of social deduction. But there is a psychological element here. A small minority of commenters pointed out that seeing the person you love look you dead in the eye and lie effortlessly can be a very jarring experience, even if it is just a game. It triggers a primal fear of betrayal. However, most people argued that she should have just smiled and said, "I am not answering that." But as she pointed out, refusing the promise in front of the whole group is an instant admission of guilt. He backed her into a corner where her only option to play the game properly was to lie to his face. He created the exact traumatic scenario he is now complaining about. So what did Reddit decide? The community voted not the asshole with an overwhelming 92%. The general consensus is that the husband crossed the line between the magic circle of the game and their real-life marriage. That means the vast majority of you watching agree that the original poster was completely innocent here. But is it really that simple? Let us dig a little deeper. Legally speaking, this whole situation revolves around the concept of the assumption of risk and the boundaries of implied contracts. When you sit down to play a game like Mafia, you are entering what game theorists call the magic circle. Inside this circle, the normal rules of society and morality are temporarily suspended. By willingly agreeing to play a social deduction game, the husband legally consented to being deceived. You cannot claim emotional distress or fraud when deception is the explicitly stated objective of the activity. It would be like suing a professional boxer for hitting you during a boxing match. Now, let us look at the pinky promise itself. In contract law, an agreement made under duress is entirely void. The husband stood up in front of a crowd of their peers and demanded a verbal contract. This forced her to either lose the game instantly or lie. Because this promise was extracted under social coercion within the bounds of a deceptive game, it carries zero legal or moral weight in the real world. Furthermore, there is an implied covenant of good faith and fair dealing in every relationship. The husband actually breached this covenant first by using his real-world status as a spouse to gain an unfair advantage in a closed game system. He tried to cheat using emotional leverage, and when it backfired, he tried to play the victim. If this went to a metaphorical relationship court, the judge would throw the case out immediately and probably sanction the husband. And let us talk about his claim that this means she could manipulate him in the future. That is a logical fallacy known as a slippery slope argument. Just because someone can bluff in a game does not mean they are committing fraud in real life. Being able to detach and play a role is a sign of intelligence and emotional control, not malicious intent. The husband is projecting his own insecurities about his inability to lie onto his wife, which is a massive red flag. Alright, it is time for the final verdict. We give the original poster 0 out of 5 jerks. She played the game exactly as it was meant to be played and secured a flawless victory. The husband, however, gets a solid 4 out of 5 jerks. You do not bring your marriage vows into a living room game of mafia, and you definitely do not guilt trip your wife the next morning because you got outplayed. Who is the real jerk here? Drop your verdict in the comments and let us argue about it. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss another breakdown. I will see you in the next one.